love giving gifts, but sometimes the gifts that I want to give are a little out of my price range. So today we're going to be duping some expensive gifts and we are going to be saving ourselves hundreds. My video today is sponsored by Cricut. Our first dupe is this Mackenzie child's cookie jar. I found it on the Horchow website. I love the lid on this cookie jar. The bright florals are so pretty. This cookie jar is $78, which is more than I would want to spend on a cookie jar. So we're gonna make one for less. We're gonna start off with a Dollar Tree cookie jar. They had a couple of varieties of sizes at my Dollar Tree. I chose the large one. And the paper that I'm going to be using is from a book of cardstock that I had. I just flipped through and I found this bright floral one that I thought would be a great mimic to our inspiration piece. I took the cookie jar lid and I put it on my cardstock. I traced around it and then I cut out my circle. Did you know that you could just pop that plastic handle off the top of the Dollar Tree cookie jar lid? So convenient, right? So I just popped that off and then I put my paper over the top. That way I could see exactly where the center hole was. I pressed my scrapbook paper over the top of the pokey part of the handle, which made a hole directly in the center of my scrapbook paper. And then I just cut it out to clean it up. I'm going to get some blue painter's tape and wrap it around the edge of my lid. Then I got some Mod Podge and a sponge brush and I just painted on a liberal amount of Mod Podge to the top of this lid. Then I took my scrapbook paper and I placed it over the top of the Mod Podge. I got a kitchen scraper and I pressed the paper and the lid firmly together. Doing this will get any air bubbles that might be trapped under the paper. That way the scrapbook paper will lay flat. Once this was completed, I let it dry for 30 minutes. Then I came back and I did a top layer of Mod Podge. I spread a liberal amount of this Mod Podge all over the surface of the paper, and then I let it dry for 3 hours. At this point, all I need to do is get that little plastic handle and pop it right back on the lid. And now we are finished. I think that my jar is so similar to the Mackenzie child's from Horchow. Let's go over how much mine cost. I spent $1.25 on my jar. We will say that the scrapbook paper was 50 cents and that the Mod Podge was 25 cents. So in total, I spent $2 to create my jar. I'm going to fill my jar up with some soaps and some lotions. You could use some hair ties, some brushes, fingernail polish. Isn't this a fun container that you can just fill up any way possible? You could put cookies in it, of course, but any lover of pretty things would be thrilled with this jar. I found our next inspiration piece on Etsy. It is this monogrammed Christmas tray. I love the laurel wreath around the monogram center, and lucky for me, I found an almost identical tray at my thrift store, and it was only $3.99. I'm going to be creating my monogram on some white, smart, removable vinyl, and now we're gonna head on over to our Cricut design space and create our monogram. In my Cricut design space, I hit New Project, then I went to Images. In the search bar, I typed in Laurel Wreath. Several options came up and I selected the first one right here and I hit Add to Canvas. Then I went over to Monogram and I typed in the monogrammed initials I wanted. Then I went to Handwritten and I scrolled down to the bottom, selected this one and hit Add to Canvas. Then I sized it to the size I wanted. I moved it right into the center of my laurel wreath, and then I welded it together because I wanted one solid design. I'm gonna move it around for you guys. You can see everything is all together. It's one design. And then I went up and I sized it to the size that I wanted. And once it was to the perfect size, I hit Make It. it sorted it onto my mats. I am doing this without a mat. I hit continue and then I hit continue again. And then I selected my material, which was a smart removable vinyl. And then I hit more on the pressure. I loaded my material by hitting that flashing arrow button. And then I hit that flashing play button, which began the cutting process. Once it was 100% done cutting, I hit that flashing arrow button again, which released my material. Once my design was cut, I actually weeded away the design itself because we're going to be creating a stencil. I took some transfer tape, I placed it over the top of my vinyl. I pulled the backing away from the vinyl, and then I put my design in the center of my tray. I got my scraper tool and I pressed the vinyl firmly to the tray because we want to make sure that the edges of this detail is sealed tightly to the tray. To mimic the exact colors from my inspiration piece onto my tray, I got some acrylic paints. And I got green, I got red, I got white, and I began to paint them on my stencil. I just painted right over the stencil. And then I also got some gold rub and buff and I painted that onto the stem portion of my laurel wreath. And then I let everything dry for a couple of hours. All right, guys, things do not always go as you hope or plan for. This is a prime example of when things can go haywire. When I went to go pull back my vinyl, guess what came with it? The acrylic paint. Yeah, lots of fun. So I just at this point didn't know what to do, and so I just wiped off all the paint. It just peeled right off. One thing that did stay was that gold rub and buff. So we're going to improvise a little bit, and we're just going to use the gold rub and buff instead of all of the festive Christmas colors. So I had to create another stencil, and I put it over the top of the design that was already on there. Then I got my gold rub and buff, and I put that over the exposed areas on my stencil. I made sure that everything was covered, and then I let it sit for about an hour. Now it's the moment of truth. Let's peel back that vinyl and keep our fingers crossed that we have some kind of a design. So I peeled it back, and hooray for me, there was this beautiful gold design left. Now, one positive thing that we learned from this experience is that the gold rub and buff will stay, and I can wipe all over this tray, and that gold is going to stay. So when I give this gift to my friend, I can reassure her that she can wash this tray off. Is it an exact dupe to our inspiration piece? No, but I'm actually really thrilled with the way that it ended up looking. Even without all the vibrant Christmas colors, the gold makes it look so classy and elegant. So having a mishap during this project actually worked out to our benefit because I love the way it looks. And now she can use it all year long. Let's go over the cost of how much I spent to create my tray. If you remember, this tray from my thrift store was $3.99. We'll say that the vinyl was $3 and the gold rub and buff was $1. So in total, it's going to cost me $8 to create my tray. Our inspiration piece was $38, which isn't an outrageous price, but I like saving money, and $30 is a great cost savings. I think $8 is a great price for this personalized and unique Christmas gift. I think my sweet friend will love this tray. The inspiration piece for our next Christmas gift was also found on Etsy. This beautiful holiday monogrammed runner is absolutely stunning. I love the detail and the expensive look. The cost of this runner is $67, and I think that we can do better. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I found a runner that was really similar to the inspiration piece. It was $29.99, but it was 50% off, which brings my cost for this runner down to $15. To create my monogram and design, I'm going to head on over to my Cricut Maker and create it there. In my Cricut design space, I hit New Project. I clicked on Monogram. This time I'm in Thematic. I typed in the letter I wanted, and then I did Decorative. They have so many choices to select. I selected the font I wanted, and then I selected this beautiful design around the R. Then I went and I sized it to the size that I wanted for my runner, and then I welded it together to create one solid design. I needed 2 R's, so I went and I hit Duplicate, and then I can just hit Make It. I'm going to be doing this on the mat, so I click that and then Continue. This is a iron-on, so make sure it's mirrored, and then I clicked Continue again. I selected my material, which was an everyday iron-on, and then I hit More on the pressure. I loaded my material into my maker by hitting the flashing arrow button, and then I hit the flashing play button, which began the cutting process. Once it was 100% completed, I unloaded my material by hitting that flashing arrow button, which released my mat. Now, because I'm doing 2, I couldn't fit both R's on one mat, so I had to go back and click the second mat. I did the same iron-on material and hit More on the pressure. I hit the flashing arrow button, which loaded my material into my maker, and then I hit the flashing play button. Once it was done cutting, I hit the flashing arrow button. I weeded away the excess vinyl from my monogram and from the scroll detail. Then I placed my decal on one end of the runner. I took my easy press, I set the temperature for 330 degrees and the timer for 30 seconds. Once the timer was up, I removed the easy press, and then I peeled back the protective plastic coating. Then I took my second decal and I put it on the opposite end of the runner. I did the exact same thing with my easy press. Once the timer had run down, I pulled back the protective plastic coating, and now I have this gorgeous runner. This is beautiful. It looks so expensive. I love that it's personalized because it looks like you went above and beyond to create this beautiful Christmas gift for a loved one. So let's calculate my costs. The runner itself was $15, and we will estimate that the vinyl was $4. So it cost me $19 to create this stunning, elegant, personalized gift, and I saved myself so much money in the process. This next dupe is so cute and easy to make. Now, I love memorabilia ornaments, something that commemorates that specific Christmas, that specific year. And again, I was on Etsy and I found this beautiful personalized ornament. It had an initial and the year, and I really wanted to recreate this, especially since this ornament and topper is $51, and I don't want to spend that. So instead, I went on a little shopping trip to Ross and I found a very beautiful ornament, and it was only $4.99. I also have some satin ribbon that looks just like our inspiration piece, and that's the ribbon that I'm going to use. To create my year and my monogram, I'm going to head back over to my Cricut Maker. In my Cricut Design Space, I hit New Project, and then I went down to Monogram. And in the initial, I typed in V, I went to Handwritten, and I scrolled down to this fancy font right here, and then clicked Add to Canvas. Then I went back to my monogram. This time I typed in 2022, went to Handwritten, and then selected this curly, lovely font right here, and then hit Add to Canvas. Then I moved them around, I selected my V, and then I sized it to the size that I needed. And then I did the same thing with my 2022. I sized it to the size I needed, and then I hit Make It. It sorted it onto my mat. I'm going to be doing it on the mat this time, and you have to make sure that you hit that mirror button because this is an iron-on. Then I clicked Continue, and I selected my material, which was a smart iron-on, and then I hit More on the pressure. I loaded my material into my maker by hitting the flashing arrow button, and then I hit the flashing play button, which began the cutting process. Once it was 100% finished, I unloaded my material by hitting that flashing arrow button, and now I have my design. I pulled the excess vinyl away from my V, and then I pulled the excess vinyl away from my 2022. Then I put the V on one end of the satin ribbon. I heated my Easy Press to 330 degrees and set the timer for 30 seconds. Then I put my Easy Press over my vinyl, and once the timer was up, I pulled back that plastic covering, and then I did the exact same thing on my 2022. I put that Easy Press over the top, let it run down for 30 seconds, remove the plastic covering, and now I have my gorgeous V and 2022 customized ribbon. Here's a little tip to keep your ribbon from fraying. I mean, we went to all this work to create a beautiful ribbon. We do not want those cut edges to fray. So what I'm gonna do is take just a teeny little bit of Mod Podge and I'm going to paint it on the end of the ribbon. This will seal that ribbon right up and it will not fray. So now I'm just gonna take my ribbon and I'm going to tie it around the top of my ornament, just like our inspiration piece. They look so similar. So let's calculate how much it cost me to create this beautiful customized ornament. The ornament itself was $4.99. The ribbon we'll say was 50 cents, and the vinyl we'll say was 50 cents as well. So in total, it cost me $6 to create this beautiful ornament. We saved ourselves so much money, and we created a yearly memorabilia ornament without breaking the bank. Now that all of our gifts are created, we need to wrap them up beautifully. And I want to do it in some gorgeous ribbon. So I found this beautiful ribbon on the Wayfair website. It had these deer heads on them. They were sparkly and pretty. The one thing that I did not like about this spool of ribbon was the cost. It was $67.42, which is too much for me to pay. So we're gonna create our own. My ribbon came from Michael's. I love my ribbon because it has a lovely lace detail on either side of the ribbon. After the 40% off coupon, my spool of ribbon only cost me $4.99. It is only 3 yards and our inspiration ribbon is 5 yards, but we will calculate all the costs of that at the very end. To customize my deer, we're going to head on over to the Cricut Maker. In my Cricut design space, I hit New Project. I went and clicked on Images. In the search bar, I typed in Reindeer. I scrolled down and I selected this happy little reindeer right here and hit Add to Canvas. And then I sized it to the size that I wanted. Then I went down and welded it so it created one reindeer. And then I hit Duplicate. I made several of them and then I spaced them out just so I could count and see how many I had. Then I hit Duplicate one more time and then I flipped it so it'd be the opposite way and Duplicate one more time to make several reindeer. Then I clicked Make It. It sorted it onto my mat, so I'm doing it without a mat. Then I hit Continue, and then I clicked on that mirror button because I'm doing an iron-on. You always want to do mirror. Then I clicked Continue, and then I selected my material, which was a smart iron-on, and then I hit More on the pressure. I loaded it into my maker by hitting that flashing arrow button, and then after it had measured it, I hit that flashing play button so the cutting process could begin. Once the cutting process was 100% complete, I unloaded my mat by hitting that flashing arrow button again, which released my material. I weeded away the excess vinyl from the deer, and then I cut them into individual pieces. I placed my deer on my ribbon. I spaced them out 2 inches apart from each other. Once they were spaced out, I got my Easy Press and I heated it up to 330 degrees, set the timer for 30 seconds, and then placed the Easy Press over the deer. After the timer had run down, I pulled back my Easy Press and then I removed that plastic coating. And then I placed my deer 2 inches apart down the entire length of the ribbon. I fused it together with that Easy Press and it ended up beautifully. Once we were all done, I did use that Mod Podge technique. I put a teeny little bit on each end of the ribbon to keep the ribbon from fraying. You guys, how pretty is this ribbon? Oh my goodness sakes. I love it. You could just go crazy with all the designs that you wanted to make. You could make whatever fits in with your color scheme. Really, the possibilities on this are endless. So what I'm gonna do with my ribbon is I'm going to wrap it around a beautiful box, and it's going to be a stunning addition to my gift giving. Let's break down the cost of how much it cost me to create my ribbon. As you saw, it was $4.99 for my spool of 3 yards. We will estimate that the vinyl was $2, so for a total of $7, I was able to create this gorgeous custom ribbon. Now our inspiration ribbon was $67.42, which is a lot more than we wanted to spend. So by creating this ourselves, I think we did an amazing job imitating our inspiration piece, and what a classy way to wrap up your Christmas gifts. All right, you guys, so we're done with our dupes. Let's calculate the cost of how much I spent. Here are the total costs of everything that I spent to create my dupes. And over here is how much the inspiration pieces were. So if you take this and this, here's our total, and this is how much I saved. So not only did we save ourselves a ton of money, but each of these gifts are handmade. They are personalized, they are customized, and I know that the recipients of these gifts will be thrilled. I know I love getting personalized gifts. It makes them so much more special because they came from the hands of somebody that you care about. So if you find an item that you want to give away as a gift, but it's too expensive, try and dupe it. Make it for less. It will turn out just as beautifully, and I think even more so because you put your heart and your soul into it. I hope you enjoyed creating these dupes with me today, and I hope you got some inspiration. If you want some more inspiration, you need to come back next week because I'm going to be decorating this tree, and I'm going to be revealing my color scheme for this year's holiday decorating. I'm so excited, you guys. So make sure that you're subscribed so that you won't miss out on any of that. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching.